Oh, you saw Furiosa. Before we get into Mad Max Fury Road, you saw Furiosa, a Mad Max saga.
Mhm.
I gave my thoughts on it this past Friday during a review. So, what were your thoughts on Furiosa?
I really loved it. I do not think it's as good as Fury Road, but Fury Road is a huge monumental thing to like really, uh, top. But it was very good. Incredible cast, visually spectacular, and I would say it does avoid most of. It does have some prequelitis of like some prequel things of like why would you add that for like Uh, but overall, was really impressed by this movie and how some of the returning like past characters, like Immortan Joe, are framed in this context. Without him, like kind of coming off as like, uh, without like making him seem like less of a threat. Chris Hemsworth plays a great piece of shit villain. Has he ever played the villain before?
Yeah, he was one in the Bad Times at the El Royale. If you've seen that movie,
Oh yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. But like, still, like this guy's like a real pathetic asshole. uh, I would say, sadly, though, the weakest part to me is Furiosa herself.
mm.
But that is somewhat kind of thing with the Mad Max movies in general. Of it's not really the main character's story to a degree. The story is the world and like the adventure around it. Uh, I will say I do think the Mad Max movies are able to give more of a personality to Mad Max himself, and I do also think comparing Anya Taylor Joy, I think she's a fine actress, to
Charlize Theron.
yeah Charlize Theron is kind of hard because like I don't know Anya Taylor Joy like Charlize Theron just kind of has that look to her. When Anya Taylor Joy does, it's like it's not the same, but it's
She's
it's a
too
yeah
cute looking. You think? Or
a bit, but it's also like there are even some things in here where it looks like she's too she looks a bit too uh like clean and like not cut enough for the like not as many scars or like like busted lips for like the apocalypse.
mm.
But yeah, I think she's a fine actress, but it's like yeah, it's not like the exact same, but would kind of be like when I don't know if you cast like a Sandra Bullock as like a hardened criminal or something like that. You're like, like
Mm.
I don't believe that, but you cast someone like I don't know, like
Rebecca Ferguson.
yeah, like a Rebecca Ferguson. It's like okay, yeah, or
Mm.
yeah, or even like almost like when Luke Evans was cast as like this is gonna sound weird as like Dahmer as like a serial killer. Like he looks too much like I don't know. I just kind of see like the teenage heartthrob
Mm.
there, as opposed like if you cast someone like if you compare it to like someone in like they got for like Mind Hunters, it's like that's a fucking killer right there. Like that person is weird and
Mm.
scary.
Yeah. I mean, so my thoughts on the movie, I agree with you. I don't think it's as good as Fury Road, but Fury Road is like one of the greatest
Oh,
action movies
action
ever
movie.
made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolute peak. It's absolutely amazing. This is cinema, and
Mhm.
everything they did in Fury Road, they took the long way. I mean, that movie was in production for a very, very long time. And you can tell the use of CGI in this, in Furiosa Mad Max Saga as opposed to in Fury Road. I feel like they're also. I feel like when people brought up Fury Road, people mentioned how much Charlize Theron kind of took over that movie as Furiosa. I feel like it's the opposite here with like Chris Hemsworth, where he kind of is almost taking over things.
Kind of
It's not
steals the show, but yeah.
because the first 30, 40 minutes is almost like it's the Chris Hemsworth show to me.
Mhm.
And then it's not until Anna Taylor Joy comes in as Furiosa and then she's doing all that stuff that we really get to see it. So there is that. But Furiosa is not having a really great time at the box office right now. So this is via New York Times. So Furiosa is a box office dud, adding to Hollywood woes. Memorial Day weekend ticket sales in North America are expected to total 125 million, down 40% from last year. This is written by Brooks Barnes here. And it says Hollywood expected Furiosa and Mad Max Saga to scorch the box office over the holiday weekend. Instead, the big budget Warner Brothers prequel iced it over. Furiosa, which cost 168 million to make, not including tens of millions of dollars in marketing costs, collected an estimated 25.6 million in the United States and Canada from Thursday night to Sunday. Box office analysts expect the film to take in about 5.4 million on Monday for a holiday weekend total of 31 million. That would be the worst Memorial Day weekend result in 43 years after adjusting for inflation.
Jeez, Louise. I hope it turns around. I really hope it turns around because this is a special movie that
Yeah.
people should watch.
Why do you think it is struggling at the box office?
Tickets are expensive. I think that's one of the reasons, to be honest. God, what was my ticket? Like $21? Like it was close to that.
Because you saw it in IMAX.
Yeah. But still, it's just like it's also like, you know, we got tickets and like drinks or something like that. It's like a good $7. And you know, R rated movies have done like well, but it's like with a high budget movie like this, it can like it can be like, you can really make your cost back. But man, it's just it's a tough thing right now. And I think people are kind of like kind of spoiled now with streaming services of like, I'll just wait like 2 weeks and it'll come out and I'll watch it at home where I can basically do laundry. It's like there are movies you should watch in theaters. Like, haven't you seen that great David Lynch interview where he's like, you think you've got the experience of like a theater on your phone, you fucking idiot. You're never gonna get like, this is a movie of like the sound and the look and the scale is really gonna just like it will be good when you watch it, you know, in on home when it goes to DVD or streaming, but like in theaters is like where it's at. Like you gotta see, like, because it's gonna be like a special experience. I remember I was the exact same way with the Mission Impossible movie of like Ghost Protocol, of like I was like, yeah, do I want to see this? But I did see it, and like then that train fight happened, and I'm literally in my seat, like pausing while holding like a fistful of popcorn because I'm just so engrossed in the action. It's like I wouldn't really get that experience if I was at home. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Furiosa is a movie you should be seeing in theaters because of the effects, because of the look, because of the sound, because of the action. I mentioned that in the review. See it on the biggest screen you possibly can because of all that going on, the technical achievement of this movie. You know, and you look at a lot of other movies kind of coming out this year. You know, Dune 2 did really well. That crossed like 600
Nice.
million. That did well.
That's
Godzilla.
PG-13 as well, right?
I believe that is PG-13.
Okay.
The rating on that. And you also had Godzilla and Kong that came out, which didn't do exactly gangbusters, but it did okay. I think it crossed 500 million. Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire.
To be fair, Godzilla minus one did also do very well at the box office, all things considered.
Yeah, it did,
Which,
and that had
yeah,
a low budget.
people might have gotten their Godzilla fill from that as well. So,
So that's not doing really well. So maybe people got their Godzilla fill there with -1. So Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire about 560 million there plus there that it's at right now at the box office. Then there was also Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that just came out. And that I think it had a good weekend, had a good opening weekend there for it, but I don't think it's doing so well there. But it had a good opening weekend. Now it's close to getting to 300 million. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now Furiosa had a budget of 168 million. So it has to do pretty well. It has to do about 500 plus million probably to really be good. Somewhere around that territory. But Mad Max Fury Road didn't do gangbusters either.
no.
That did about 380 million.
Yeah, it's weirdly a cult classic.
But I mean, people love it. I mean, people talk about it, praise it, but that didn't do exceptionally well either.
Did it come out in December? Am I remembering that right, or summer?
May 15th is when Fury Road.
Okay, I was wondering because it came out like not too long after that movie. Like something else big came out, which might have stolen its thunder a bit.
Let me see if what were the biggest movies of 2015. I don't know. I don't know if people are just kind of staving off, kind of waiting maybe for Inside Out 2 is coming in a few weeks. There was also Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out July. So I don't know if people just waiting. I don't know how many big movies people see a year. Like it's like I'm gonna save it up. I'm gonna wait for maybe this instead of this. I'm not gonna go to see Furiosa, Mad Max Saga here. Let me see. What else came out this year in May? Let's see. So in May 29th, you had San Andreas. I think that was the movie with The Rock, right?
Yeah.
That was that movie. The biggest movies of the year was Jurassic World and that was the year Force Awakens.
Yeah. I was thinking because Force Awakens was
December.
but Jurassic World, maybe that came out in summer too. Might have,
June 12th.
Okay.
Is when that came out. San Andreas came out, May 29th. And the only thing, that was kind of its competition, I guess, in the month of May. That's pretty much its competition there, as far as I can see. But so they had that going for it. So it's a shame. I think people should go check it out. I think it's a great movie. Really, I mean, George Miller's still kicking ass, and he's almost 80-something years old. Still
he is 80.
Oh yeah, he finally made the 80s. So he's still putting up get great work there. He says he wants to do more Mad Max movies. So he says he wants to do more.
And he and Kojima apparently are best friends now, and he wants Kojima to make a Mad Max video game.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think he would do a great job.
He was kind of open about being disappointed about the Mad Max tie-in video game for the Fury Road movie. I don't know if you play, but it's technically canon to the Mad Max universe.
I haven't played. I heard it was kind of somewhat decent.
It was that era of basically copying the Batman Arkham fighting style. So people kind of got a bit see from that, but it's also like all this the combat it's very Batman Arkham, which isn't a bad thing. But some people are well, why would I play this if I could just play Batman Arkham?
I don't know. What about the traversing? What about going around in the vehicle and around the desert? Is that any exciting?
Not right. It's been so long since I played this game. It was when I still had I think it was not PlayStation, but in this it's actually there's lore behind why Max getting his car back and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. So I heard it was just kind of okay, like a 6 out of 7 out of 10 game.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's not gonna set the world on fire or anything like that. But this leads us into our last review of the day, and that's going to be for the Mad Max Fury Road, a movie that came out 9 years ago.
Jeez.
Where did all that time go, like you said there? So if people don't know Mad Max Fury Road, this was George Miller returning to the Mad Max franchise after many years, after decades, after his last one being Beyond Thunderdome there. So there was a big gap between when he was doing these movies. And he was always been interested to go back to the Mad Max universe there, explore more in it. And he does that with this film. He did say, with this film, he did just want to make a straight up Furiosa movie, like he later did with Furiosa Mad Max Saga. But when he pitched it to the studio, he was like, well, we can't do it unless you call it Mad Max. Nobody's not gonna know what it is. We got to have that franchise to be able to tie it into. So he kind of, that's why he kind of put Mad Max into the story. But this is mainly a lot of the story is about Furiosa, and here in Mad Max is kind of most how he is in most of his movies. He kind of just stumbles upon the mission, the journey, while in this wasteland. This post-apocalyptic world, people are fighting over resources. Water, gasoline are usually the main resources people are fighting for. That's what they trade for currency. You have the character Furiosa, who's on a mission. She's liberating Immortan Joe, his concubines, I guess you would say there, trying to liberate them and bring them to her former place, the green place, the place of abundance there, the place where she comes from. Where the wives will be safe and away from being basically just there to pump out babies for Immortan Joe. All right, I had a question. I asked Radiant from Church. I asked him to say, so are all the War Boys, are they Immortan Joe's kids or?
No, I don't think so. Because there are some prequel comics, and a lot of the War Boys are people who are just kind of devoted to Immortan Joe, and then are
Okay.
kind of insane. Uh, his kids are, oh my god, what not the
Rictus
yeah,
and
Rictus
and
and
Scrotus.
yeah, Scrotus, and like the little guy in the they're basically around him 24/7.
Okay, yeah,
And that little guy with like the
binoc
telescope.
yeah, the
Yeah.
telescope, yeah. So, okay, those are fish, yeah. So you
Mhm.
have that, and what's his name? Which one is which? Rictus is the big one,
Yeah,
right?
he's the big bald. Yeah, big bald guy.
And Scrotus is the
Guy with the weird head.
yeah, the weird head. The
They're both in the video game as well. Yeah.
okay. So yeah, so he has his children there, and the war boys are kind of like his army there. They
Mhm.
live in the Citadel,
Mhm.
this place with tons of resources, all this water there. Which damn, they waste a lot of water for water to be a
Yeah.
resource. It seems like they just dumping that water out there. But yeah, they live there with tons of resources there. And yeah, like I said, she's trying to liberate his wives, and Max kind of gets stumbled upon this thing because he gets kidnapped by the war boys and used as a blood bag for one of them because they constantly need blood to
Ooh.
fuel them because they're on their life. Yeah, I mean, this movie when it came out, it did a lot. Action movie wise, people were kind of, I think, worried about like, hey, what we're gonna expect from this movie. George Miller coming back after this long franchise. Usually, directors who come back to their franchise after many decades it can turn out bad. It can turn out good.
Mhm.
Good examples like well, with him with this movie, George Miller, and then bad examples like with Ridley Scott did with the Alien franchise.
Yeah.
Um, what were your thoughts on Fury Road?
Really loved it. Just a great singular chase movie. And I mean, this is like, it's not like a thing to knock down. Like, oh, it's just an action scene, but like George Miller wanted to frame this so it could be like. Originally, he said he wanted this to just be like a single chase scene. And it's like, of course, there are like some spaces and pauses in between, but like for the most part, it is one big chase, and it's like an incredible uh, like example of visual storytelling, and like just the editing as well just sticks out so much. Interestingly enough, this movie was edited by his wife, who was a music editor at the time. Like she did stuff for music, and I believe that Edgar Wright of Scott Pilgrim, and like a bunch of other great stuff like Hot Fuzz, he did the majority of his edits before he made the movies with music as well, and you could kind of feel like the similar like way in how they both edit action. Of like it's very the editing is very stylized. That works with like the so much sound and like just is incorporated into this, and like it all fits just so well. Uh, oh, Nicholas Holt was in this. I
Yeah.
completely forgot. Yeah, and he's also apparently in the Furiosa movie.
Was he? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was looking up the cast. And it's like, oh yeah, Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
He was in that one as well. But yeah, just visually spectacular. Even just the backgrounds itself, and even just like regardless of the action scenes, just the sets of like Immortan Joe's like green place he has for his wives is just incredible. Of like all these characters are making the most out of this wasteland village, like a wasteland world they're a part of, and they want to, you know, like if they would live in it, they would make it as colorful and unique as they can. And like it's just it gives this such a unique culture to the world that's all the Mad Max movies have, but like this one just takes it and just elevates it like crazy.
Yeah. And mentioned during when we talked about Furiosa, I mean, comparing them both, this was a long process. I mean, they did everything the hard way. This a lot of this was practical. A lot of the sets, a lot of the stunts were all practical. What they
Mhm.
did there. You talk about the look of the movie. I mean, visually also it is very beautiful. Like the scene I just played in the trailer where they go into like the huge desert sandstorm that kind of comes and that kind of look where they're in the middle of that. That looks absolutely kind of gorgeous there. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, what they do with the whole kind of big car chase all one way and then they go all the way back the other way. That's really good and really well done. And you just feel that, especially the last kind of part of the movie. I mean, that's exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And this movie is 2 hours and you don't feel it at all. I mean, the
No,
pace is
no.
absolutely just
Yeah.
really
It's
incredible.
it's an exhausting movie, but in the best way possible.
Yeah. And there was a lot of also issues on this. Have you heard about the issue
Oh
between
yeah. Yeah.
Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy?
Yeah, I've heard about that, and luckily, it seems like it has cooled down to an extent. And Tom Hardy has even been like on the tour. He was pretty open and like he apologized, and it does seem like tempers have cooled a bit. So hopefully, you hope the animosity between them is gone. Uh, though I'm not sure if you heard about this, but the stunt doubles for them actually met on that set, and they fell in love, and they're married, and they're still
Oh,
married to this day. So
nice.
that's my favorite fact about this movie.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, stunt doubles for Max and Furiosa men. And they got married and they're still married. Oh,
Hmm.
nice little charming story there.
Hmm.
Good news there. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you had that kind of tension going on, and I think that's what allowed, that's what made Miller kind of reduce some of the lines for Max, because I mean, Max doesn't really talk much at
No.
all.
How
He just
many
kind of,
lines does he have in this? Like
I can look at,
19?
yeah, I think it's not that many, but he just kind of grunts in it and kind of just goes around like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know, Tom Hardy, his accent in this. I don't know. Did you ever?
I was just gonna ask, do you think he's doing an Australian accent, or do you think he's just doing like a "I can be from anywhere" accent?
Yeah, because he pulls out the same accent in that movie we played, Al Capone.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there. Well, it says he had it was only let's see, Mad Max and Fury only had 63 lines of dialogue.
Okay, that's more than I thought.
Furiosa has 80
Mhm.
there. The
How
total line. Oh,
do the lines count as like screams of like characters though?
I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. It's not very specific
Does
there.
"no" count as a line?
I think that counts. I mean, I think if you say
Mhm.
dialogue, that counts there.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah. So it's mostly just him grunting,
Mhm.
looking, giving thumbs up. There, that's mostly what it
Yeah.
is. In the movie there. But I mean, do you think that this is mostly a Furiosa movie as opposed to a Mad Max movie?
I would say mostly, but I do think is kind of like not the formula, but is like the because these are fables that are being told or campfire stories of like because that's how a lot of like man with no name stories get told of like there's a problem happening and all the characters like other characters are like in the middle of it and the character just comes by and just addresses it uh and that's kind of like how these movies are framed, like almost like a pulp adventure series or like a western kind of series of like, and then Max goes off into the night of like that's how it ends, like and like their lives are going to continue but Max is going to keep on drifting. He's going to find something else to do.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. What'd you think about, besides for Furiosa and Max? What'd you think about the other characters here, like a Morton Joe?
uh Fantastic villain, maybe my favorite of the series. Great design, great look, played by the actor who played Toe Cutter as well in his last role before he passed away very sadly. uh but also like a very interesting, just like twisted love he has for like his family, like, well, quote unquote family of like his sons and his lineage, but also like the weird obsession he has with like his brides, loving them but also loving them because like they can just like kind of give him a son to become warriors.
Mm, yeah. And
And
hopefully a son that
yeah.
isn't
Mhm.
deformed, I guess, in some
Yeah,
way.
yeah, he even like flips a truck and nearly kills himself just to avoid hitting one of the brides.
Mm. Uh-huh.
And yeah, love the just the moment of like him with his the plastic chest piece off and like just them blowing like stuff to like Kate, like it's never given a specification but you think it's like implied to like almost to like take care of his pain or the wounds or like the grotesque burns he has from like radiation, and the weird horse mouth thing he has is fantastic.
And the way he kind of, this is a scene where he's kind of talking about, just to hear, what he does with his voice here as well.
I'll pop it from the start. I'll breathe in for you.
No, nobody must go. Stop the raid. Return business for me. Why myself will carry you to the gates of Valhalla.
Yeah, wow.
I'm gonna get it.
You will ride eternally.
And what is that stuff that they're like? What is that? You know,
Glaze?
Glaze?
It's so yeah. Apparently it tasted very bad. But yeah, like just a almost like a cult leader at this point. where it's just like he just has this army of just devoted lunatics who are ready to kill themselves for him. Of like just how like yeah, I'll get you to Valhalla, but just like basically worship me and do what I say.
And the ultimate disappointment here when he sees one of his disciples kind of fuck up here.
Yeah,
This still makes me laugh.
yeah. Media. Yeah, that became a meme for years.
Yeah, this became a meme, and then that's bait also was a meme
Yeah.
that people use a lot there.
Mhm.
And this is also I'll see the scene. This is the scene where the he flips his truck here as well. Let me bring up this scene right here. Oh, let me go back.
Wow.
I'm surprised did the sons didn't die right there, right?
No.
No, I'm surprised the sons didn't die. From
Yeah.
that,
God.
but the thing about this movie, I think Fury Road, I mean, it's not just also the action, but also like there's no character in Furious that feels like you have Nicholas Holt as the war boy who's there. That's also very good. You also have a Morton Joe. You got the wives that also I think are also pretty good there character wise. It just seems like there's kind of nothing like that in Furiosa. Seems
Yeah, a bit. It is more of a one-person movie. Yeah, I do like all the most of the return stuff. With like Morton Joe and his army, and like how they kind of like you think there's like a moment of like oh they're gonna mess with Morton Joe and all this stuff, and like just the whole pick one. If you pick one of my war boys and see what happens, it's like okay, we'll fight that one, and like you see just how devoted all the war boys are to Morton Joe. Yeah. You don't get as much as a characterization with Chris Hemsworth's gang in this, as opposed to in Morton Joe and his army. Most you kind of get is like it's kind of a twist of like you think he's going to be like a humongous or like a Morton Joe of like a very like calculated leader, but it's like the Mentis is kind of a dummy, but he's like he can manage like a small gang, but he can't really manage like a huge empire or even like a moderately sized empire.
Yeah. You see that when he kind of takes over what was it, Gas Town, right?
Yeah, Gas Town. Yeah.
Any big flaw for you with Fury Road?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I wouldn't say it's a flaw, but I would say if you kind of compare this to maybe the first three Mad Max movies, of the way violence is on this is certainly more of a spectacle and cool than in Mad Max Fury Road or Mad Max even Thunderdome or stuff, where it's portrayed as like very brutal and dark and horrific, and like a need for survival, where it's like there's more of a spectacle when the character gets shot in the face in this. That's not even a flaw. That's just a different thing. But it's not like it doesn't break the movie, because especially like, man, when this movie came out, like it was 20 years since over 20 years since like the last Mad Max movie, and people more knew it for its like look and like aesthetic at the time. So I don't think that's like a make or break thing. I think maybe if you have like a Mad Max marathon, it might like throw you off a bit. But at the same time, these are like campfire stories, and like this is like the legend of Mad Max and the legend of Furiosa. So
yeah, Ray from Sure said the Doof Warrior was the extra cherry on top for him there.
Mhm.
And Beyond Thunderdome was the last one before Fury Road, and that was in 1985.
So yeah, over 20 years. Wow.
Yeah. And actually, one of the brides, I just found this out. One of the brides there in Mad Max Fury Road married the guitarist, married the.
Oh,
they married him. So that's pretty cool. Hey,
yeah.
Riley Keough is her name there. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of her. Yeah, she's one of the brides.
Mhm.
Also, you also have Zoe Kravitz, who's one of them.
Megan Gale's also in this, not as a bride, but as one of the Furiosa's allies.
Yeah, when they go to the gang there, and this is Riley Keough there, and she's isn't yeah she used to be with I think Nicholas Hoult, I think, and then now she's a star there. But yeah, one of the brides is Zoe Kravitz, who people know Catwoman. She's Catwoman there. Also Rose, the one who died, the prize that died was Rose Hunter there. She was in Transformers. She was a love interest. She was the new Megan Fox after they got rid of Megan Fox.
Oh wow, really?
Rose Huntington Whitley there. This is her. So this is her right here. She's one of the brides she was the one that died. I'm trying to see who was the name of the scary looking one.
Brides or
the one of the Abby Lee. Abby
Oh.
Lee. That was the one that was kind of really skinny. She was really kind of more thin there. Abby Lee there. But yeah, so you do have that there with the kind of brides and the setup there. So yeah, they ended up getting married. So that's a fun little kind of story there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan Gale's in this before, like, at the time, I believe she was being like, they wanted to cast her as like Wonder Woman. And like, there was a thing of like, oh, you're going to be Wonder Woman. But then like stuff got shuffled around at the DCEU. Then Gal Gadot got cast. Like, I think it's a shame. I think Megan Gale would have been like she would have been an excellent Wonder Woman. But what you going to do?
She was going to be part of the George Miller Justice League, or
Yeah. Which
Oh.
I think I think she has like a great look for it, but like
yeah, because I remember they did do. I mean, that was already. Isn't there like a photo with George Miller? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, with George Miller, and it's basically everybody there that was, going to be a part of the film there. Like Jay Baruchel was. I think he was going to be Lex Luthor. I think. And then the dude from what's that show called? OC, I think, something like that. He was going to be Flash, I think, or something. But yeah, George Miller was going to do the Justice League at one point. They were gearing up to do that. Megan Gale, but she's the character when they go to
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, who when they try to go to the Green Place, she's one of the people of like that's all that's left of Furiosa's old home, and they kind of meet these kind of warrior women there that they meet in this kind of wasteland.
And she was in the not Megan Gale, but the Valkyrie character was in Furiosa, the movie as well.
Oh, she was. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she was the other little girl. She's like Furiosa, which that was a bit like a child calling another child Furiosa, kind of like make me like do this a bit. But it's like it's a apocalypse world. It's like, would you really name your kid Valkyrie or Furiosa? Like, even in the apocalypse?
I mean, hey, it's the apocalypse. Why
Maybe.
not? Sure, yeah. But yeah, so what did you I mean, it's funny, do you think people have turned on this now as far as like, because I do remember when this movie came out, there was a big backlash to it of how Furiosa took over this movie and Mad Max got sidelined and, and it was, replacing the male character. And then now people say when they bring up good female representation, they bring up Furiosa now. Do you think that's kind of turned now?
It's a Sarah Connor Terminator thing.
Oh, you switched mics or something, I think.
Oh, I did? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Must have.
Yeah, I think Mike's just working on his mics. I think switched mics. I think you're talking from more of your laptop.
Sorry, is it good now?
Yeah, that's good now. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's definitely a Sarah Connor Terminator thing. I've talked about this with like my friend Mac from Macabre Storytelling of like, if this came out now, there would definitely be dudes online saying like anti-feminine whatever like stuff, and they're like, no, not. It's like, yes, you would. Like it opens up with her like doing pull-ups and being like super masculine. You just liked it because like it came out when you were a kid, but also at the same time like when this movie came out, like super weird dudes were like super mad about like Furiosa herself. But it's like now that like years have passed, people are like, actually I like this character the whole time. So that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, and then you even seeing it now, like people saying, I don't want to go see this movie because it has a female protagonist. It's failing because it's a female protagonist in it. When they kind
I mean, it's not like the first the only Fury Road did like incredibly well. It did fine, but it didn't do like
gangbusters. It wasn't
yeah.
So I don't know, it could make its money back there, just due to maybe staying in there. but people are probably waiting. They're like, yeah, maybe I'll just wait for it to come at home.
Yeah.
Maybe people spent their money with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Godzilla and all those other Dune there, and everything like that. Renee from Fury said, Game of Thrones fans names their kids worse. Yeah, there was that phase of
Oh,
people
yeah.
naming their kids after Game of Thrones. Daenerys and Jon Snow and all that.
What was the name of the Morton Joe's wives again? It was like
Let me.
Cheeto.
I can't remember what their names are in the actual movie. I can't remember if they actually say them. But so it's like, okay, so one of the wives, Rose Huntington Whitley, her name was Splendid Anagard. Zoe Kravitz was Toast the Knowing. Riley Keough was Capable. Abby Lee was the Dag there. I never did. You ever hear that in the movie of them getting called that? I don't remember.
And Morton Joe yells it when he goes into the green place. Like he just screams their names when he can't find them.
Oh,
And
okay.
Then the old woman's like, "We're not your property." And then he just smacks her.
Okay. Yeah. So that's some Toast the Knowing. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a breakfast cereal.
Yeah. It might be like maybe there's like a weird Australian breakfast there. That's like it's like a local reference or something.
Okay. But yeah, man,
Oh,
such a fantastic film. On a lot of levels of what they do, just from a technical level.
Oh yeah.
There, that's incredibly impressive. I mean, do you think it's one of the greatest action movies ever made?
I would say so, especially like just in the last 20 years of like this is the one people are going to talk about a lot. And I remember just even from the colors alone, because George Miller has talked about this of like a lot of action movies just kind of look dark to me. Is like he wanted to make this as colorful as you could possibly make it. So it's like you don't need like, yeah, realistically, I don't know, maybe the sky would probably be more black, but it's like it's a movie, it's a visual medium. Let's have fun with this. And the action is man, I'm not sure if it's just because of like there's so many movies that like now kind of are storyboarded for the action, so before it can even come out. But like the action, in this is so well flowing and it works so well. And it's because throughout the whole movie, it's shot so both Max and Furiosa are in the center of the frame, so you can always tell where to follow them. So like it doesn't like hurt your head when you're like you never get disoriented when watching it.
Everything is very clear. Everything you could make out everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean it's really amazing to watch there. So everything is very nice. But also just I mean character wise too. I think you're able to get a lot more
Mhm.
here with everything with Max, with Furiosa. Did you really want to see a prequel there, or did you think they should have advanced it further?
I didn't really want to see a prequel, but it's like I'm not upset with what I got. It actually kind of. Have you seen Arcane?
No.
I don't know. Well, League of Legends show. It technically takes place way before like the main events of League of Legends, but it kind of reminds me of that. Of like the best like kind of world building in that is like you see a lot of the background stuff that goes to be bigger stuff as it goes on. Like you see the start, but it's not like I don't know. It's not like the worst prequels. Just like guess what? That's gonna happen. Like it's gonna happen. It's more like oh, like you can definitely pick it up, but like if you don't know the original, it's never gonna like you're never gonna be lost or be like there won't be a line of like I'm something of a scientist myself, and then there's like a pause. I really like that movie, by the way, but it's just kind of like one of those things. Like it doesn't lean too much into fan service.
Yeah, you're talking about No Way Home. There.
Yeah. I still really like No Way Home, despite how the public has kind of turned on it.
So, what would be your final thoughts and rating for Fury Road?
Ooh, man, I might give this my first. This is cinema.
Okay. Wow.
Like genuinely one of the best action movies in recent memory of like and yeah it was a rare treat, and it's weirdly a cult classic when it should be a fucking hit.
I gotta give it this is cinema as well. I mean the way it moves. I mean I talked to somebody who's crazy. Somebody said this was boring. They said they couldn't get into it.
Really?
Like first 10 minutes. I'm like, the first 20, 10 minutes, something's happening. He gets
Yeah.
kidnapped and then he's blood bag. I mean, it doesn't take long to really get into things and the action and what's kind of going on and the whole story.
Even just running, like you see all the flashes, that's exciting as well.
Yeah. And the story, what they do kind of carry. I think Nicholas Holt's kind of almost like a scene stealer in here as the
Yeah.
little boy.
It's kind of how these movies work. Of like every now and then we'll see another lunatic. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Humongous Joe, but a more heroic version of Humongous Joe, who also kills himself in a rage. Granted, Nicholas Holt character kills himself as like a noble sacrifice.
Yeah. So I mean, he does very great work here, and everybody does
Yeah.
the character work. On top of the big spectacle that this movie is, it's crazy. I mean, this movie you think should have been like a $600+ million
Yeah.
box office. Just look at the colors and like that scene, especially like that where they go into the huge desert storm, looks really incredible. When they meet the other kind of people of the green place, that's a really great stuff where they meet them and kind of what's happened there and this kind of wasteland, and it's able to do a lot of world building in such a short time and kind of set everything up. Like, did you ever see Civil War? Did you ever see that?
No.
Okay. That was that Alex Garland movie, and I was like, it sets up all this stuff. It's like it doesn't really tell you much what's going on or why we're in it. It's just like, oh hey, there's a dictator president, and then this stuff happened. Like,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, this does it in a very short amount of time. Even if you haven't seen the other previous, like, do you think you haven't seen any prior knowledge to the Mad Max movies and still get this?
Yeah, and you don't even need to speak English to watch this movie because this movie was written in a way where if you had the sound off or it was muted, it would be as fun, and you would be able to tell the story just from like the visual language alone, which is something that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to give it a This Is Cinema as well. For Mad Max Fury Road. And then Raymond Shirley said, first time I remember seeing Nicholas Holt. Yeah. I know. I think. I think. Oh,
X-Men? When he was Beast.
Was that before this or after this?
Days of Future Past. I think that was 2017, so maybe a bit after.
Yeah, and then there was First Class.
He wasn't. Was he in? Oh wait, no, sorry. It would have been the same year because that actually would have been a bit before.
Yeah,
So.
Days of Future Past was 2014. First Class was 2011. Yes, and then yeah, I've 100% introduced friends to Mad Max through this film. Yeah, so if you want to go back and watch the other films, and see that
they're all on HBO Max.
Yeah, while they're still there, watch them while you still can.
Yeah.
Before they sell the rights or do whatever.
Yeah.
So.
I don't really like movies. Can I delete them so I can get 20 cents back? Can I destroy everyone's script and creativity and just have a show about AI or people dating people from prisons?
But This Is Cinema for Mad Max Fury Road.